Let's talk to us a little bit about your preparations for Arkansas.
I try to keep my preparation pretty consistent on a weekly basis. So, just so far this week, a bunch of film work, and obviously Monday's practice yesterday, and Tuesdays are one of our biggest days for practice. So, like I said, just try to keep it consistent, and I feel like that's what helps me stay prepared.
You guys had a lot of emotion going into the game against Missouri. Do you think you can keep up that same intensity going into Arkansas this week?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're a team that's kind of driven off emotion, and we kind of feed off each other. And so, we know that last week is over with, and while we put together a great win, the most important one is the one ahead of us, and it's an SEC game on the road, so it's going to be very tough and very challenging. So we're trying to figure out what we need to do to execute that game plan. And the reason we've been successful so far this year is because we've been executing at a high level, so we're trying to keep that up.
What do you see from Arkansas? They had Alabama on the ropes, man. They played them pretty tough.
Yeah, it's not the normal Arkansas team that you've kind of seen in the past. They kind of remind me a lot about Tennessee. New coach, new identity, changing things around pretty quickly. They're a very underrated 0-3 team in the SEC. Probably, definitely playing in the toughest conference in the nation. So, watching the Texas A&M game that they should have won, they're up 28-14. Alabama, a blocked field goal from going into overtime. So, they're playing all these top-notch teams really, really close, and they've had every opportunity to win. It's not a team that we're taking lightly at all. We're just doing what we need to do on a weekly basis, trying to keep things consistent and trying to stay focused, and that's kind of been our MO for the year.
Can you talk a little bit about Phil's dad coming to talk to you guys about some of the dangers of drunk driving and things like that?
Yeah, right. We have a character ed meeting once a week, and sometimes we have some guys come in and speak, and so I asked Coach Rick, I said, I've got a buddy from back home. Coach Rick kind of knew of the incident. And I said, Mr. Lutzkirchen would like to come speak to us, and he thought it was a really good idea. So Mr. Lutzkirchen came and spoke and kind of just talked about Philip's life, the legacy that he left, but also the importance of making smart decisions, not getting in the car after you've been drinking. It was a lot of things. It's very challenging for him, obviously, but I know he's been speaking to a lot of different teams. He spoke to Auburn. He spoke to Clemson, I think. So, he's just trying to use that message to maybe impact or change one person's perspective that may save their life.
What did that mean to you to see him there doing that?
Well, it was definitely emotional. I mean, obviously, Philip was a longtime friend of mine, childhood buddy, a brother to me, and I've known Mr. Lutzenkirchen as long as I've known Philip. So, you could obviously see I don't know what the correct word is, the seriousness, the emotion in his eyes. I think this is a kind of a way for him to kind of just honor Philip as far as speaking and using that platform as far as the legacy that Philip left. I mean, whether you live in Alabama or you live in Georgia, if you're from the Southeast, you know the name Lutzenkirchen. And he did have a huge impact on people no matter where you're from or who you root for. So I think Mr. Lutzenkirchen is doing a phenomenal job of honoring his son in that way.
Hutson, did you notice Nick getting stronger as the game went on last week? And did you see a little bit more confidence in him when he was getting all those carries?
Yeah, I mean, Nick's always been a real quiet guy, doesn't really say a lot, doesn't really wear his emotions on his sleeve. He just kind of does the job and gets the job done. So those guys were doing a pretty good job of stripping the ball. We got kind of lucky. I think we had 5 balls on the ground. We got all of them. I remember just telling him, hey, man, just keep 2 hands on the ball. So, and I just let him do his rest. You don't really coach that guy up or tell him what to do. You just let his normal athletic ability take over. And he took some shots, and some of those shots I didn't know if he was going to get up from, but tough cat to carry the ball 38 times.
We saw some of you all hold up threes during the game on Saturday. I guess for Todd Gurley, how has the morale of the team changed since he is in a suspension right now?
Since he is in a suspension? Well, I think we just learned to lean on each other more. Todd was a huge identity for us. as far as kind of our big MO on offense, pounding the ball, and obviously he was one of the best players in the country. But when you got a guy taken away like that and kind of a big arsenal of your offense, you have to lean and you have to kind of dig deeper and find out other ways you're going to get productivity out of your offense. And so for me, I had to say, I got to step my game up. Other guys had to step their game up. I think everybody collectively said, I got to play a little bit better, and we did.
Time for one more. What's the team's feel when the allegations came out? You had this the Thursday before practice. I know a lot of people were upset with the NCAA. Some people probably upset with Georgia. What was the team's reaction when you found out the news?
Obviously he was a little shocked, but we knew we had a game right around the corner, so we couldn't really let the emotions get to us. We knew we had a game ahead of us where the SEC East was on the line going to Columbia. So although it was kind of a big deal and what was going on in the media, we had to stay focused for those next 2 days and rally around each other and find a way to get the W. So I think it kind of speaks to the mental fortitude and the ability and the senior leadership and the maturity of this team to be able to stay focused through kind of a huge distraction.
Thank you, Hutson.
Thanks.